In the beginning, people would say I was crazy or there was something wrong with my mind. There's nothing wrong with your mind if you pursue a dream.
27 miles southeast of Death Valley National Park is Death Valley Junction, right on the border of California and Nevada. Constructed in the early 1920s as the Amargosa Opera House and Hotel. In 1907, the town was created when borax was discovered. In 1914, the Death Valley Railroad started operating between Ryan, California and Death Valley Junction. In 1967, ballet dancer from New York City, Marta Beckett, and her husband were driving through Death Valley Junction and spotted the Amargosa Opera House, and she fell in love with it immediately.
We stopped at Death Valley Junction, and the town was falling to pieces. I saw this building at the end of the road. I looked through a hole. I saw a sunbeam shining on the floor. I noticed a small stage. Immediately I fell in love with it.
In the late 60s, Marta began painting an audience on the blank walls of the Opera House. Marta was featured in the January 1970 issue of National Geographic when they came there to do a story on her and watched her do a performance at the Opera House without an audience. This led to her being in Life magazine, and suddenly there was an interest in Marta from all over the world.
No one can take away the hours of joy that I had painting it. Nobody can take that away from me. If it's torn down tomorrow, I have that in me, that experience. And it's the experience that's important.
What part do you play in the Opera House?
Well, Marta and I have divided things, or actually things were just always divided. Marta does the creating. Somebody has to pull the curtain.
She continued to operate the hotel and do performances for even Ray Bradbury and Red Skelton. Of course, the hotel is haunted, and Marta herself experienced many ghostly encounters. Marta has said that room 22 is very haunted and that one of the workers was sleeping in there and the light bulb turned red in the middle of the night. The worker's daughter-in-law slept in that room and the same exact thing happened. Next door in room 24, people hear a baby crying in the wall. Red Skelton himself slept in this room and actually heard the baby crying and said to Marta, "Let's just let the baby keep crying." We visited the Amargosa Hotel and Opera House in May of 2024. You yourself can come here and visit and get a tour of the hotel and Opera House. Just call ahead in advance and schedule your appointment.
After the Shoshone Indians in the early 1900s, in 1907 was when borax was discovered in this area.
As we go down here, you guys are going to start seeing these paintings.
So photos were taken when she had just finished painting the walls of the Opera House.
Miners, they come home from work and they'd go into the theater, they'd watch some silent films.
I call it Marta's Mansion because it is by far the biggest house in the lot. The thing about Marta, it was her and her mom mostly throughout her life.
I looked up at the blank white wall and I envisioned it crowded with people. And I said to Tom, I'm going to paint an audience on the wall because I knew it would make it feel filled with people. And I decided to paint an audience of the past because what I do on the stage has its roots in the past. I don't miss the crowds of New York or the noise, the street sounds, the hucksters. I was very aware of being rejected. A neighbor lady came through and she said, Marta, I don't really understand you. You don't do anything that's necessary. You dance and you paint, but what good is it? People ask me, isn't it terribly lonely out here in the desert? I mean, how do you stand it? It's perfect for a creative person. Creative people have to be alone. They have to be by themselves and not surrounded by people because they need the time, they need space, and the blankness that the desert can offer.
I have tried to preserve the past through my art. I'm doing the best I can, but somehow I sometimes feel my voice is unheard.
Welcome to Death Valley Junction and to the Amargosa Opera House. May I present now Marta Beckett.
I did Broadway shows and recorded ballet at the music hall, and I had my taste of working for other people. But I reached a certain stage in my life when I realized I had more to say with my art than just being a puppet or doing what someone else said.
In this life, she hopes to come back in a different life, and like the ghost or something like that.
She doesn't intend to leave here if she can help it when she passes on, which I'm laughing because she always says that she's packing her bags, but she's not going anywhere. She would love to stay here.
Like, there's energies, it's one of those things, like, you definitely don't feel like you're alone, but it's positive. It's a mindset thing. You know, if you come into a place where you feel those energies and you're very negative about it and you just automatically perceive them as evil or bad, then yeah, you're gonna feel a negative feeling. But, you know, me personally, I feel energies and stuff like that here all the time, and it's very comforting.
Marta Beckett died at the age of 92 on January 30th, 2017. Her spirit still does live on here at the Amargosa Opera House and Hotel.
Man kills for pleasure, for trophies, for machoism, and that's why my love of animals far exceeds my love of human beings.
How can anyone be lonely when you have an imagination?
Without art in our life, there's no soul.